her whole chest. Alabama's House Speaker Nathaniel Ledbetter stood in front of the press after his state passed a redistricting bill and said, and I quote, "I certainly hope the Supreme Court will overturn Amendment 14, end quote. I need you to understand what he means. You see, the 14th Amendment is not a technicality. It's not a redistricting footnote. It's the amendment that made black people citizens of this country. After 250 years of enslavement, ratified in 1868, written in blood. It says you are a citizen. It says you have equal protections under the law. It says no state can strip your rights without due process. It is the legal spine of every civil rights victory we have ever won. And Ledbetter hopes the Supreme Court throws it in the trash. That's not a redistricting argument, ladies and gentlemen. That's a declaration. See, they're not hiding under their white hoods and robes anymore. They are not dog whistling. They are standing at a podium saying, we want the amendment that made you citizens gone. This is happening right now in real time, 2026. And the only thing they're afraid of, the only reason they want to erase that amendment is because they know what we do when we show up. So show up. And remind every black and brown person that voted for this. Jim Crow had a hood. This version has a law degree and a press conference.
Hi guys, I just wanted you guys to see that before we go into what I have to say. What the Lord has been pointing out to me, and I'm like, Lord, what is it? Then I ran across this video. I had no idea that they was back at looking at the 14th Amendment. I thought all of that was, done away with. The judge said no, and that was it. But apparently they hadn't finished on it. But let's read the 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, or deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. Section 2. Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed, but when the right to vote at any election for the choice of electors for president and vice president of the United States, representatives in Congress, and executive and judicial officers of the state, or the members of the legislature thereof is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such state being 21 years of age, and citizens of the United States, or in any way abridged except for participation in rebellion or other crime, the basis of representation therein shall be reduced in a proportion which the number of such male citizens shall bear the whole number of male citizens 21 years of age in such state. Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president or vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any of the state legislator, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disabilities. Section 4. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment or pensions and bounties for services, and suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned, but neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss of emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligation, and claims shall be held illegal and void. Section 5. The Congress shall have power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Now, there are several things that I could pull up out of here that I really want to talk about. But let's see. What I want to talk about is what she was talking about. Now, that would be part 1. Neither slave nor involuntary servitude except as punishment for crime. Wait a minute, that's not where I want to be. I done went back up to the 13th. Let me go back down to the 14th. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny to any person within the jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now, actually, the whole thing, because if Trump have his way and had the 14th Amendment moved, that means all of us black folk, for one, has got to go. See, and then for two, all the wicked things that he and his crew want to do in office into America, they could do it. This amendment protects a lot of America, a lot of things in America. And if he is successful in having this move, we are in trouble. Now, I want to say this before I go to the next part that I want to say. Um, this thing has not just started. And I've been telling people this for years, even before Trump. This has not just started. This has been a plot that's been going on for many, many years, many decades. Now, this one, what he's trying to do now, let's think about this thing. He says it's to keep the illegals out, right? It's to keep the illegals from having children and then becoming natural citizens, right? But when you look at that, he didn't just say that part. He wants the whole 14th Amendment abolished. Now, he says that's the reason why he's doing it. But in order to have that change, he could just say, well, can we reword it? But he wants the entire 14th Amendment moved. Now, let's think about this. How did the illegals get here like this? President Bush opened up the borders. President Bush opened up the borders. Okay. Now, with him opening up the borders, everybody came through, which I do not personally have anything against it. But think about it. He opened up the borders so that everybody could come through. And then here comes Trump. Now, because all of them came through and they having children, and he feel that what that was to set a road map. It opened up the door for him to go in and dismantle the 14th Amendment. Are y'all following what I'm saying? See, if that door had never been opened, then it's a fly something playing around my shoulder. Well, if that door had never been opened, he would never ever be able to say, let's do away with the 14th Amendment. And then he come along and say, well, my reasoning is because of all these illegals that was brought up in here, and they having children and making them legal children. That's why he want to get rid of the 14th Amendment. But y'all know what the 14th Amendment is, and I just read the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is one, it opened the doors for the slaves to be counted equal with anybody else in this country. It stops it has the laws that will stop anyone in power, including the president, from being able to run them up. It gives the right to Indians to be who they are. It has a lot of things in there. It has a lot of things in there because I'm getting sidetracked. It has a lot of things in the 14th Amendment that needs to stay there, and it needs to be protected. It needs to stay protected. Now, with that being said, that established that this thing was a plot. It was a ploy. If you think about it, how did he get to this point? It was because Biden opened the door for them to come in. So now that's reason enough for Trump to be able to say, let's get rid of the 14th Amendment because we don't want all these unnecessary people here. But it's not directed at the foreigners. It's truly directed at Black Americans. And it's directed at the laws that keep America safe from people like him with plots to destroy this country and the people of this country, and especially the people that built this country. Okay, now I'm gonna catch that fly or net or whatever it is. Now, this is what God pulled out at me for me. And I didn't know this. And the people that I've been talking to said they didn't know this. Now, before slavery, there were colonies. So it wasn't for all of America, but it was a part of America. And then I also pulled up what the laws was for the different colonies before slavery. Now, I want to read this to you. It says, before chattel slavery, there was formally codified into law. Early American colonies had explicitly drafted restrictions against lifetime bondage and man stealing. And see, the reason why I'm reading this to you, because when I get down to where I'll stop and let you guys, I'll pull it out as I go. Now, it say because English common law had no legal concept of a slave, early colonists relied on the concept of indentured servitude. When the first Africans arrived in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, they were originally classified as indentured servants rather than permanent slaves. To prevent permanent bondage, several early colonial bodies established laws protecting human liberty based on religious and legal traditions. Now, Massachusetts and man stealing, 1641. When Massachusetts drafted its first legal code, the Massachusetts Body of Liberties, in 1641, it explicitly prohibited permanent human bondage under standard conditions. I want y'all to pay attention to how they did this. Clause 91 of the document stated, there shall never be any bond slavery, villanage, or captive among us, unless it be lawful captivity unless it be lawful captives taken in just wars, and such strangers as willingly sell themselves or are sold to us. Drawn heavily from biblical law, Exodus 21:16, the colony made man stealing, kidnapping free people into slavery, a capital offense punishable by death. However, a major legal loophole in the phrasing strangers sold to us inadvertently created the crack through which the legal slave trade eventually entered the colony. Now, the law was clause 91 of the document stated there should never be any bond slavery, village or captive amongst us unless it be lawful captives taken in just wars, and such strangers as willingly sell themselves or are sold to us. Now that it was the sold to us is what they worked on. Okay, but at first they were, even after Africa started selling people from over there, they were already going over there and they were taking them. Now, it say drawing heavily from biblical law, Exodus 21:16, the colony made man stealing, kidnapping free people into slavery, a capital offense punishable by death. Now, even though they were buying some slaves, they were kidnapping some as well. And that was proven by I can't remember the boat name, but the slaves, they rebelled and they took over the boat and told them to take them back to Africa, but they ended up going to another country in America and they were sent back to Virginia and they had to go to court. And those men proved that they were taken illegally and they were released and sent back home. Now, a lot of that was going on. That wasn't the only ship that was of men that was taken illegally. That was not the only ship that was taken illegally. The only men. However, okay, the loophole, if they were sold. Now, the Providence Plantation Ban, 1652. The earliest outright anti-slavery law in American colonies was passed on May 18, 1652, in the Providence Plantations, modern-day Rhode Island, pioneered by Roger Williams and Samuel Gordon. The statute declared that no person, black or white, could be held in bondage for more than 10 years. It mandated that any person taken as a servant must be freed after 10 years, or upon reaching the age of 24 if they entered service as a minor. Now, so even though they were taken and sold, they still wasn't supposed to be in slavery for no more than 10 years. While groundbreaking, the law was never strictly enforced due to political turmoil and a lack of compliance by local merchants who later turned Rhode Island into a hub for the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, y'all see how that happened? And that's what's going on today with a lot of things that's going on. The blacks is supposed to have the same rights as whites, but we don't. And see what Trump is doing? He's taking the law and instead of obeying the law, he's twisting the law and he's trying to make it the way he wanted legally, just like they did with this. Just like what they did with slavery back then. It said, while groundbreaking, the law was never strictly enforced. Due to political turmoil, Trump, political turmoil, and his minions, and a lack of compliance by local merchants, all these racist white folk and everybody in their group, who later turned Rhode Island into a hub for their transatlantic slave trade. And this is what America is doing now. I'm not going to say, well, we are already still in slavery. That never stopped. But there is the same demon, doing it in a different way, but still doing it. They're ignoring the law. They're doing what they want to do, and then they trying to push it into law, just like they did with making slaves forever, when they wasn't supposed to be slaves but number for 10 years. They say the shift to racialized bondage. This is what happened. This is how they finally got it in there. The original legal guardrails against lifetime bondage were systematically dismantled as tobacco and cotton productions grew lucrative. 1640. This is the case that caused them to be able to make turn um, the term indentured servitude into chattel slavery. This is the case right here. In 1640, in the John Punch case, his name was John Punch. He was a black guy. His name was John Punch. The Virginia General Court sentenced a runaway black indentured servant to servitude for life, while his white peers only received extended service years, making the first legal distinction toward racial slavery. Okay? It's the same thing now. Since 1640, they have started this race war, and they won't let it go. And they've used the law to uphold their bullshit. Okay? Let me read that again. In 1640, the John Punch case, the Virginia General Court sentenced a runaway black indentured servant, a servant that was only supposed to serve for 10 years, to servitude for life. He went from 10 years to life because he ran away. While his white peers, they were indentured servants as well, only received, they ran away with John Punch, they only received extended service years, marking the first legal distinction toward racial slavery. 1661 to 1662. Virginia formally passed laws legalizing lifetime chattel slavery and decreed that a child's free or enslaved status followed the condition of the mother, legally cementing multi-generational bondages. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Do y'all see the connection? This whole mess that Trump is up here doing now, trying to move the 14th Amendment. He's trying to say it's because of the illegals. Well, it's not because of the illegals. If he moved that 14th Amendment, they could do whatever the hell they want to do to black people. Legally. Legally. They would be able to do whatever they want to do to black folk and people of color, period. Whatever they want. If he could get that law removed. And you see how it started out with being just defiant. We ain't listen to that law. We're going to do what we want to do. Yeah, whatever. And then they got somebody in that was in politics, and they pushed the law. And then they got it to become a law. Now the black man and the white man, the white men, they all ran away together, and they caught them all. They put the black man in lifelong slavery. And the white man that was caught with them, they only had added a few years on. See, this is it's the same demon. Same demon, same method. And you have to be able to think. This is where God's wisdom come in. You have to be able to think the same way those boogers think. You understand? Yeah. I hope I explained that right and in a way that you guys can understand what I'm saying. This devil that we fighting is not a new devil. He just transformed himself into a new age devil, but he's still the same devil that caused black people to go into slavery. He's still the same devil that the so-called Pope, I can't remember Pope name, but that so-called Pope said that God told him that it was okay to go and take over these places and cause the people to become slaves. The same devil. The same devil. It ain't nothing new. It's the same little devil that's doing it again. The only difference is now, people back then, they didn't know. They didn't have the knowledge, the understanding, or the wisdom, or the creativity as we have today. Today, we have the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the creativity amongst our people and other colored people. And we also have some Caucasian people working with us and believing and understanding and knowing that this is not right. So, y'all, I put this out here for y'all. God is saying, my babies. He's saying this, my babies. Y'all can stand up against this. Fight it. Fight it. You fight it the same way they're pushing it. Through the law. The laws are there to protect you. And the laws is there to protect you and keep you. We will not have any more forever bondages. Fight it. And you lawyers that know the law, whether you pay it or not, you should be working on this law. Because you don't think that it affect your family because you got a little money in the bank. But these demons, they don't care about you, your money, or the people that you know. If your heart has been pricked, and even you political people, if your heart is being pricked and you know that this is wrong, stand up against it. You got a little power just like they got a little power. It's going to take power to power in order to stop this thing. Because as you can see, this has been going on. I was telling somebody else about something that's been going on with the water issue in Flint. I was letting them know then that the water issue in Flint was at least 20 years in the making. At least. And you can see it if you're paying attention. As with many other atrocities, this whole Elon Musk putting up these places, I can't remember the name of them places, but all these places where it's draining the water and it's causing cancer and different things and whatnot that's going on in the little towns that he have them in, the cities he got it in. Yeah, this is nothing new. It's been done before in a different manner, but the same demon. And he used the same tactics. Stand up and fight this thing. Stand up and fight this thing. Don't look at me as true. Look at me as a servant of the Father. A servant of the Father that is trying to tell the people in this earth, a true prophet trying to tell you in this earth, trying to warn you as I have been doing for years. And now y'all finally catching up. Don't wait to catch up on this. Step up. Fight this thing with the same passion that they're fighting with. There's a God, the Father has made enough of you rich to be able to come up against this thing. Don't be selfish with the money and the power that he's put in your hands. To whom much is given, much is required. Do what needs to be done. Fight this thing in the courts. Yeah, there's some lawyers still, they fighting, but it may take a little more y'all to come and fight with it. Because just like they coming in this door, that door, and the other door, this Carmelo Anthony, that was put there to cause distraction. Everybody know that baby innocent. Everybody know he innocent. And then you got a couple of black folk on their team trying to say that the boy is guilty. No, listening to what's coming out and listening to people that were sitting in that courtroom, everybody know. Even the little old white lady came out and said that baby innocent. Okay, so when the devil is at work and he's playing, he gonna use whoever allow him to use him. And y'all know today that people, when you show money, they forget all about ethics. They don't have no values. Long as it's money. Money, okay, what we doing? Not realizing they destroying themselves. Excuse me. They destroying themselves and they destroying their future family. Because of what? A few dollars that don't mean nothing. Yeah, but listen what the well, I've been reading some other Bibles, but the Bible that y'all read, if a man gain the whole world, what would profit his soul? What? It don't profit your soul nothing besides destruction. Destruction. That is what it profits. And I always tell y'all, when you dance with the devil, you gotta pay the piper. The devil ain't gonna pay you to dance with him. He's a hoe, so you gonna have to pay him. You gotta pay to dance with the devil. So all these little underhanded backdoor deals that y'all out here making, you gonna pay that piper when it's time for that piper to be paid. That Carmela Anthony thing, again, that is to take people's attention. It's to take their attention. So y'all pay attention to what's going on with Carmelo, but pay attention to everything else that's going on in the world. And this 14th Amendment, prayer warriors, y'all get to praying. All of everybody that God has called according to his purpose, get to praying. Get to conversating with the Lord, praying to the Lord, praying to the Father, conversating with the Father. However you communicate with the heavens, you get started on it. You should have been started on it. Get going. Because time is now. The devil ain't playing. Okay, now. It say the 1640 John Punch case is considered by historians to be the first legal sanctioning of lifelong slavery in the English colonies. It marks the exact moment the American legal system began creating different laws for people based entirely on race. 1640 is the first time they started making laws based on race. In 1640, John Punch was a black man working as an indentured servant on a tobacco farm owned by Hugh Gwynn in Virginia. Fed up with his working conditions, Punch conspired with two white indentured servants, a Scotsman named James Gregory and a Dutchman named Victor. The three men successfully escaped